Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Student Activity Center, IIT Madras. I am Anshita Hegde, a co-team member of Shaastra and your host today. We are gathered here today for the inauguration of IITM Global and fortnight, the annual fest celebration of IIT Madras. This is followed by an engaging fireside chat that promises thoughtful conversations and valuable insights. To commence today's event, I would request everyone to please rise as we pay respect to our culture and motherland through Tamil Thai Valtu and Vande Matram.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்த கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தர்க்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்ததுமே 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 வந்தே மாதரம் வந்தே மாதரம் சுஜலாம் சுபலாம் மலயஜ சீதலாம் ஷஸ்ய ஷ்யாமலாம் மாதரம் வந்தே மாதரம் शुभ्रजोत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनी भुल्लकुसुमितद्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरम्.
Thank you. I would now like to request all dignitaries to please proceed to the lighting of the lamp. We are very honored today to have Mrs. Kyoko Jaishankar join us for the festivities today. I would like her also to please join us for the lighting of the lamp. So. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Today marks a historic milestone as IIT Madras formally launches IITM Global, a bold step towards building a truly multinational university. IITM Global establishes a sustainable, institution-led global footprint that carries IIT Madras' strengths in research, deep tech innovation, and advanced academics into key international markets while remaining responsive to local and regional priorities. It represents a new model of global academic diplomacy, enabling partnership across governments, industry, academia, and innovation ecosystems, and positioning India as a trusted global knowledge leader. To present the institutional vision of global strategy of IIT Madras, I respectfully invite Professor V. Kamakoti, Director IIT Madras, to address this distinguished gathering. Sir, please.
A very good morning to all of you. Please join me with a great round of applause to invite our Honorable Dr. Jaishankar, Ministry of External Affairs. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of our Board of Governors and our faculty, staff, and students, we immensely thank you for all the support your ministry has extended, that we are the first ever IIT to start an abroad campus at Zanzibar. So thank you very, very much for that. Friends, the COVID vaccine has taught us that if you solve a problem for Bharat, we have solved the problem for the entire globe. And with this as a motivation, IIT Madras is today launching the IIT Madras Global, which intends to take our Indian technology to foreign countries. We intend to do technology transfers there. We intend to take our startups there and see if they could get business there. We intend to see if there could be investors who will be interested in our startups, and we are also interested to see if we could do certain joint development agreements. As you will be witnessing today, we have more than a couple of dozens of MOUs that we will be exchanging today. This actually marks a very important point or cusp for IIT Madras, because we are certainly looking at a large range collaborations, international collaboration from this point onwards. Sir, thank you very much for being here. It means so much to us. And today also marks the important milestone of the Tech Festival that we are inaugurating, the Shaastra, which is now India's largest student-run tech festival. So congratulations to the team for putting this up. And we also have the Institute Open House, where we really want to tell the world what higher education essentially means and what are the prospects specifically in the area of core engineering. And we have the open house, and we are expecting around 80,000 participants in the next 3 days. So again, welcome to all the schools who have participated here. I'm sure we are going to have a very enriching session today with the Honorable External Affairs Minister, and I'm sure you will all enjoy the stay at IIT Madras. A hearty welcome again to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. To give us a glimpse into IIT Madras' growing international presence and global vision, it is my pleasure to welcome Professor Raghunathan Rangaswamy, Dean of Global Engagement, IIT Madras, to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Innovation, rooted in knowledge, driven by science, and destined for the world. India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality, and powered by high-quality academic institutions like IIT Madras. And it is this legacy that we are now ready to expand with IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
So IIT Madras Global is to take our solutions to the entire world and also take some very important problems that the other parts of the world has and bring it to IIT Madras so that our faculty, our young children can work on it and give solutions.
IITM Global, where India meets the world and the world meets its future.
So I'm here to introduce IIT Madras Global Research Foundation, for short, IITM Global. The idea of IITM Global is to take 4 pillars of activities that IIT Madras does to the global audience. Next slide, please. So these activities can be put under academic programs, research and consultancy, startups, and intellectual property. In terms of academic programs, we have the world's largest online bachelor's programs in data science and electronic systems. We have NPTEL, which has had more than 3.5 crore learners who have participated in the system. We have several joint programs where international students are starting to get their PhDs and so on. In terms of research and consultancy, IIT Madras is probably the largest university research ecosystem that exists in India. In the last 5 to 10 years, IIT Madras has done sponsored consultancy over 4,500 crores, consultancy for industry over 3,000 crores, and so on. So that tells you the kind of research and consultancy infrastructure that we have here. IIT Madras is an ecosystem which has IIT Madras Research Park, IIT Madras Pravartak, IIT Madras Incubation Cell, and so on. From the Research Park ecosystem, we have had about more than 500 startups that have been incubated. The startups that have gone for valuation, the combined valuation is more than $6 billion of total valuation. So that tells you the scale of the startup ecosystem that we have built. And in terms of intellectual property, we have started to patent about 1 patent a day. Last year, we had about 407 patent filings. All of this points to a very, very rich ecosystem, which is top-notch not only in academic programs, but also in research, startups, and IP. Next slide, please. So what is IITM Global? IITM Global is the vehicle that we think that we can use to take these 4 pillars to a global audience. We conceive of IITM Global using 2 important aspects that we will cover. One is that these global initiatives will have global centers, physical centers. Initially, we have 5 physical centers that we are thinking about. That's one part of what is IITM Global. The other part is to have a multi-stakeholder digital platform that will allow IIT Madras Global to take IIT Madras initiatives to the world. That's the way we think about it. So we follow slightly different models. In US, it has been through Diaspora Connect and our alumni. In Germany, we are partnering with TU Dresden, and we are going to have a trans campus, which will also host our IITM Global. In Malaysia, we are working with state government. Already space has been approved, and we are starting academic programs in Malaysia. In UK, again, we are working with a university partner, Durham University, where we are writing an articulation agreement for taking space in Durham. In UAE, we are working with the central government, and we have been promised a $3 million grant for the first subsidiary that we'll announce in UAE soon. Next slide, please. Just in terms of, those were in terms of the 5 centers that we are going to work with, but in terms of the pillars that we are working with, there's already lots of work that we have done. In research and consultancy, we are looking at taking Indian companies through IITM Global abroad, bringing companies from abroad into our fold, and also providing consultancy opportunities for our faculty. International academic programs, we are planning to take our bespoke international programs in quantum, data science, and so on to a global audience. Of course, IP commercialization, since we have several patents that are already existing with IIT Madras, we are looking at how to localize these, co-patent with our partners, and simply expand commercialization activities as far as IPs are concerned. And startups, we have commitment from several players for initial seed grant for these startups and so on. So there's a lot that has been done. We've been waiting for this inauguration to really run with this and do implementations. And I'm really thankful that our Honorable External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has agreed to inaugurate IITM Global. I hope that this initiative becomes a big success. And we hope that other institutions in India pick up on at least some of these aspects of what we are trying to do. And as we go along, obviously, there are going to be hardships, there are going to be learnings, and so on. We will be very, very happy to share those to the institutions that would like to pursue things like this. Finally, I just want to say this is an initiative to really showcase Indian institutions. We have very, very fine Indian institutions. And we hope through initiatives such as these, our Indian higher education institutions find their rightful place in the global knowledge landscape. That's the basic idea of IITM Global. Again, I'm very thankful to the External Affairs Minister for being here and inaugurating this. And I hope this becomes a big success for IIT Madras and India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your comprehensive overview of IIT Madras Global Vision. Moving from vision to action, we now proceed with the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between IITM Global and dignitaries across the globe. To formally announce the MOU signing, I would like to invite Mr. Thirumalai Madhav Narayan, CEO of IITM Global Research Foundation. Thank you.
Good morning and Happy New Year. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Director of IIT Madras, Professor V. Kamakoti, respected Deans of IIT Madras, Advisor Co-Curricular Affairs, delegates from foreign governments, embassies, consulates, leaders from the industry, academia, startups, and the global innovation ecosystem. It's my privilege to welcome you to a defining moment in the global journey of IIT Madras. Today is not just about signing MOUs, it is a shared belief in the power of knowledge, collaboration, and global purpose. Today reflects the strength of institutional commitment to partnership, to co-create, and for global impact. Through IIT Madras Global Research Foundation, IIT Madras is taking its entire research, innovation, and academic ecosystem beyond borders, responsibly, sustainably, and at scale. The MOUs being announced today span governments, universities, industry leaders, investors, and innovation platforms across 5 strategic global regions. Each partnership is anchored on the 4 pillars: deep tech startups, sponsored research and consultancy, IP and technology transfer, and high-end global academic programs. May I now request External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Director of IIT Madras, Professor V. Kamakoti, Dean of Global Engagement, Professor Raghunathan Rangaswamy, to step forward for the MOU exchanges. We begin with Germany. Germany represents a depth of engineering and industrial leadership. We don't have the partners here, but I'll quickly read out. Technology University Dresden. We have forged a strategic Indo-German deep tech alliance spanning advanced research, entrepreneurship, technology, translation. With Carl Zeiss, a global industry academic innovation hub to be set up in IIT Madras. This is the first hub outside of Germany that Carl Zeiss will be setting up. With Flexora GmbH, and this is something that we've been talking about at the institute level. It's a German startup in collaboration with TUD that we are enabling through IIT Madras to access Indian market. We'll quickly move on to Malaysia. With Advanced Semiconductor Academy of Malaysia, we'll be collaborating in building semiconductor talent, research excellence, and industry aligned skilling for Malaysia. Request Ms. Angel Low, General Manager, Assam, on stage, please. Thank you. Next, we have with Aisling Malaysia, collaborating to establish a hub for high in skilling and academic programs to address talent gaps and driving employability in Malaysia. Request Mr. Akhil Gupta, Board Member Aisling, on stage, please. Next, Singapore, all of us know as the hub of Southeast Asia. So we're partnering with Gates APAC Singapore, a partnership to accelerate global scale-up pathways for Indian deep tech ventures across the ASEAN region. Request Mr. Ashish Kapahi, Executive Director, Gates APAC, on stage, please. Next, in the Middle East, we have United Arab Emirates. We don't have the government. We have signed up with the government, the Department of Economy and Tourism, a strategic partnership tied to D33 economic agenda of Dubai to foster entrepreneurial ecosystem and support the growth of local startups and scale-ups in collaboration with Dubai corporates. We have a strategic engagement with Dubai Future Foundation, a deep-rooted collaboration in research and development for establishing a global testbed for frontier technologies. A strategic engagement with the World Government Summit, connecting scientists from IIT Madras and across the country to the world's premier platform for future governance, policy innovation, and global leadership. With MCA Gulf, we are partnering to enable structured market access and scale-up opportunities for Indian startups. Mr. Venkatesh, the managing partner. Thank you. Next, with Agna Capital, a one-of-its-kind academic institute-led global growth fund, IITM Global, to accelerate the international scale-up of deep tech ventures from India. Request Mr. Injadrit Sirsikar, CEO, Agna Capital. Next, United Kingdom. With Durham University, IITM Global will establish a center advancing Indo-European collaboration in sustainability, health, and advanced technologies. This partnership strengthens research excellence, doctoral pathways, and global academic exchange. Request Professor Mike Shipman. The United States of America has always been a cornerstone of global research and innovation, with CA startups in California, a West Coast gateway enabling for startups soft landing and accelerator access, IP-led scaling, industry and employment-focused skilling programs. Mr. Vish Arunachalam. Next, CFO Bridge, building global CFO and financial leadership bridges to enable scale governance and capital readiness for Indian startups going global from IITM Global. Mr. Swami Subramaniam, partner, CFO Bridge. Through Stages Consulting Partnership, which would act as the East Coast gateway, Indian deep tech startups gain structured access to US capital infrastructure and global acceleration, high-end academic and skilling programs, driving employability entrepreneurship. We have Mr. Kanak Subramaniam. With Rutgers University, IITM Global establishes a flagship Indo-US institutional platform advancing joint research, innovation hubs, and global academic pathways. Professor Mukund V. Karve from Rutgers. Together, these partnerships anchor IIT Madras' institutional presence in the United States. Taking India global. So we have a strategic partnership signed up with MeitY, enabling global market access for Indian deep tech startups. Request Dr. Paneerselvam, CEO, MeitY. Next, NCRT. This is an education that has been reimagined platform called Parak on a national scale through research-driven pedagogy and digital innovation. This will go to move to global deployment, partnering with IITM Global, starting with Africa. We don't have them here today, but just wanted to announce. Next, with Coromandel International, a corporate R&D hub to be established at IIT Madras Research Park, enabling deep industry academia collaboration in research and innovation. Mr. Narayanan Velayan, whole-time director, strategic sourcing from Coromandel. SQ1 India, this is a partnership to advance cybersecurity research, products and digital resilience for national and global systems, leading to establishing a COE at IIT Madras and eventually taking the competency global. Mr. Satish Narayanan, co-founder and CEO, SQ1. Next, Strat Infinity India, a GCC enabler, a partnership to enable global capability centers and enterprise innovation platforms for multinational expansion into India through IITM Global. Request Mr. Bala, CEO, Strat Infinity. IIN Indian Angel Network is next, and we know all about them, catalyzing capital for scale-ups and deep tech valuation. IITM Global is enabling a knowledge partnership to help curate and mentor startups. Mr. Brendan Feroz. With IdeaBas as a knowledge partner for an inclusive innovation platform, nurturing grassroots entrepreneurship from across the nation to be scaled globally, Mr. Mudit Kumar, co-founder IdeaBas. And last but not the least, our own IIT Madras IC incubated startup Galaxy, which is into the area of next generation Earth observation technology, will go global, with Africa as the first region through proposed ground stations and AI Center for Research. Mr. Suyas Singh, founder and CEO. Taken together, these MOUs represent more than partnerships. They represent a new model of institution-led global engagement, a model where research meets relevance, innovation meets industry, and education meets global aspiration. With these, we are also pleased to officially welcome on board our member startups today. The following 10 IITM startups: A3AI, Archons, AlphaGeek, ePlane, Fipsol, Galaxy, Geeta, Green Environment, Tutor Hyperloop, and Satori have taken their first step towards global growth with IITM Global. We wish each of them every success as they embark on this international expansion journey. Now, may I request the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to formally inaugurate IITM Global.
We are now officially launching IITM Global.
Thank you, sir. With the inauguration of IITM Global Center, we mark an important step in expanding IIT Madras' global presence and collaborative vision. Building on the spirit of innovation and connectivity, we now turn to a celebration that embodies the same values through student-led excellence. Fortnight, the annual fest season of IIT Madras. I would now like to invite Professor Satyanarayana N. Gumadi, Dean of Students, to give insights on this IIT Festival Fortnight to our guests. This is the convergence of 3 events. Looking to hear from you, sir. Sir, please.
So, distinguished Chief Guest, Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, Professor V. Kamakoti, Director IIT Madras, distinguished dignitaries from the partnering countries, colleagues from IIT Madras, and my dear students, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to all of you. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce the festival fortnight of IIT Madras to all of you. The festival, a part of our Anivarkum IITM, means IITM for all, is a convergence of 3 major events that we have annually on campus when we open our gates to the public and invite them to visit, explore, and experience IIT Madras, the top leading institute of the country. Shaastra, the annual technical festival of IIT Madras, is one of the largest student-run technical festival, and it is a premier platform celebrating science, technology, and innovation since its inception in 2000. This year, 27th edition of Shaastra is being held from 2nd to 6th January 2026. The theme of this year, Shaastra, is Artifacts of Arcade, reimagines the festival as an interactive, game-like ecosystem where each competition or workshop feels like a new level to conquer, blending hands-on learning with nostalgia-driven engagement. Shaastra hosts a wide range of events which includes technical competitions, workshops, research conferences, and industry interactions which enables students to learn, collaborate, and apply their knowledge. We have a fabulous line of speakers to inspire the young minds, starting from Dr. S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, Government of India, Professor Jeffrey Ullman, Turing Award laureate, Professor Subra Suresh, former director of US National Science Foundation, Dr. Vidita Vaidya, Swanti Swarup Bhatnagar, prize-winning neuroscientist, and several other eminent scientists, administrators, and visionary leaders. This year, Shaastra has also a special social campaign, Here for You, which focuses on health, hearing health, an issue that affects the 63 million people in India. With these numbers expected to rise significantly in the coming decades, this campaign encourages students to think about technology with empathy and social responsibility. It is a reminder that innovation must be inclusive and accessible. The Institute Open House, which was initiated a few years ago under Shaastra, provides a unique opportunity for college and school students, educators, and families to visit the academic departments, research centers of excellence, state-of-art labs, and various technological innovations for which the Institute is renowned. This year, we had overwhelming response from all over the country, and we have invited 65,000 participants this year. The open house includes around 100 plus exhibition stalls at Kendra Vidyalaya grounds, 100 laboratories at 18 academic departments, which includes 4 national research centers, 11 institute research centers, and 15 centers of excellence to inspire young minds to see engineering and science as tools to solve real-world problems. The festival fortnight also features the 52nd edition of annual cultural festival Sarang to be held from 8th to 12th January 2026. Sarang is nationally recognized student-run initiative that brings together talent, competition, and cultural dialogue from institutions across the country. Over the years, it has evolved into a comprehensive platform encompassing a wide range of cultural, artistic, intellectual, and performative disciplines. Flagship cultural events such as Choreo Night, one of the largest inter-college dance competitions in the country, and Clash of Bands highlight high standards of performance and creativity. In addition, Sarang offers a broad spectrum of competitions ranging from literary arts to gaming, ensuring participants across the interests and disciplines. This year marks the introduction of the Sarang General Championship, an inter-college contest designed to reward consistency and excellence across multiple events. Sarang also hosts the IIT Madras Model United Nations, which familiarizes students with the principles of diplomacy, negotiation, and global affairs through structured debate. As evening sets in, Sarang transitions into large-scale concerts and performances that feature some of India's most celebrated artists. This year's lineup continues that legacy with performances by artists and bands such as Sri Lalgudi Krishnan, Sri Sid Sri Ram, and bands like Avial and Broda. We are hopeful that this festival fortnight will not merely be a platform for experiential learning for our students, but also for students from other colleges and schools. I take this opportunity to thank all the advisors and IIT Madras student organizers, and also wish them a good luck. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. We now have a small video of the glimpses that are there in Shastra for the next 5 days. Before watching the snippet, I request the dignitaries to be seated in the bowl area. I would request the External Affairs Minister to please be on the dais as we are awaiting the fireside chat. And I would also request Meeta Jain to be on the dais. Thank you so much, sir. We will start the fireside chat soon. It's time for some intellectual conversations and deep insights. We now move into the most anticipated segment, an interactive session with Dr. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, and Meet Jain, our Co-Curricular Affairs Secretary.
I'm here, you're there?
Hello.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Anshita. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to welcome one of India's most influential voices in diplomacy and global affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar. A career diplomat and strategic thinker, Dr. Jaishankar joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1977 and went on to build a distinguished career spanning over 4 decades. He has represented India at the highest levels as ambassador to the United States, China, and the Czech Republic, served as the High Commissioner to Singapore, later as India's Foreign Secretary, and since 2019 has served as India's Minister of External Affairs, where he continues to shape and advance India's foreign policy on the global stage. Widely respected for his clarity of thought and articulation of India's interests globally, Dr. Jaishankar plays a central role in India's engagement with the world. Sir, we are honored to have you with us today.
The pleasure really is all mine, and I can't think of a better way to start the new year than being with all of you. And I'm really delighted to be not just in IIT Madras, but to be part of an event which is actually led by students.
Thank you for your kind words, sir. So if we may start with the chat, sir.
Sure, please.
Beginning with the formative years, sir. Since you come from a household steeped into strategic thinking, did you ever feel a sense of inevitability about joining the Indian Foreign Service? Or was there a moment in your life where you almost chose a completely different path?
No, I don't think there was a sense of inevitability about anything. Life is not like that. I think when I was your age, I was probably less knowledgeable than you, but probably as, probing my way or trying to figure out for myself what I would do in life. After the event, a lot of things would look it's a kind of post facto rationalization that looks like, oh, you knew that it was going to go on that trajectory. But believe me, when you are a vehicle on that trajectory, you don't actually have that sense of certitude and of finiteness. I think it was a combination. I mean, it was an interest, yes. It was an interest, and I'm normally very conservative about giving advice to people. But the one advice I give, especially to young people, is if you have an interest and you can make a profession out of it, believe me, nothing can be nicer, because you never think of it as, something you have to do. It's something which you like doing, it comes very naturally to you. Every day you actually enjoy what your work is. There is really no difference between work and non-work when you enjoy what you do.
Thank you for that advice, sir. Also, thanks to those eureka moments which made you decide that you want to take this path. And because of you, India's foreign policy has received a very positive outlook today.
Well, I didn't have a eureka moment. I had a set of, incremental decisions, yes, and then there was an orbital jump. Yes,
okay. Thank you, sir. If we may move to the core Indian foreign policy
Sure.
now. You had mentioned that instead of the traditional India policy, which is often a prisoner of Western intellectual constructs, we must root ourselves into a more Bharat vision with innate confidence. how do we prevent this from being misread by our Western partners as an anti-Western move instead of just the pro-Bharat evolution?
Look, I think the short answer how you prevent people from misreading you is to communicate. If you communicate well and clearly and honestly, I think other countries, other people respect it and accept it. Now, if you go around the world, actually, a lot of people are very proud of what they are about. What is their culture, tradition, heritage, and what is the persona, in a way. I see no reason why we should not be. I mean, after all, if you look at it, there are really very, very few ancient civilizations which have survived to become major modern nation states, and we are one of them. We have a sense of our past, which very few countries have. I mean, I can count those countries on the fingers of one hand, and not too many fingers at that. So we have, there is a lot that we have which is in us. It's something which is inherited, it's part of our belief system. Nobody needs to teach us that. You actually, in many ways, you pick it up, in your surroundings, in your homes. It is there in our language, in the concepts and metaphors we use. So how do you actually bring, it's like almost you have tools inside you, but you are not using those tools because your education system or the dominant intellectual stream is replaced it with some external tools. I have nothing against those. I mean, they also add to your capabilities. But how do you bring out those internal, tools and mechanisms and creativity and energies which are inside us and express them? And it's again part of an evolution, because, after all 200 years, after a Western dominated world, it is now 80 years since much of Asia and Africa and Latin America regained their independence. And in those 200 years, their own cultures got suppressed. So I think your question, how do you make sure this is not anti-Western? I think it's non-Western, and it's important for us to explain to the West that, look, there was a period of distortion where the natural diversity of the world was suppressed, and that diversity is now returning, and that diversity doesn't have to be threatening. That diversity will coexist with the West. In many ways, it would actually reinforce a lot of things the West believes in. One example which I cite in one of my books is it was our decision to opt for a democratic political model, which actually made the very idea of democracy as a universal political concept. That had we not gone that way, I think the democratic model as we know it would have been actually very, very regional and very narrow. And I would say it's our right, I would say almost a duty, our obligation to, express our thoughts and our values and our culture and our history. But it can be done in a congenial partnership kind of way, because I think that partnership with the West is important. I think it is very much a way of how we shape the world.
Thank you for that, sir. It actually reminds me of an excerpt towards the end of your book, Why Bharat Matters, where you mention, in the passing years, India is definitely going to matter because India is turning more Bharat. And I think that message is very clear now as we rediscover our heritage and the messages from that. Thank you, sir. Sir, speaking of recent developments, we have seen how India has had a considerably increasing impact globally, be it with its adapting the role of Vishwamitra and its neighborhood first policy. However, this also shoulders newer responsibilities onto us like Vaccine Maitri, while we also have to accelerate our self-growth to become the Viksit Bharat by 2047. How do you think we can strike a line between India's global credibility and maintaining the immediate domestic deployment of our resources for our growth?
I don't see that as a either or choice. If you look at the history of the world, countries have not grown by saying, I'll grow at home and I'll have nothing to do with abroad because it's a waste of my resources or it's a subtraction of my resources and energy from home. In fact, countries have grown by growing at home, then engaging abroad, leveraging the international environment, in a way contributing to it, gaining from it, and to me, see, when we again use this word sometimes so casually, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, what is actually the messaging of that word, of that term? The term is that we have never considered the world as an inimical or a hostile environment from which we have to defensively protect ourselves. Now, yes, we have limitations on our resources, less than we had, say, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But nevertheless, we do. Now, if you are in a problem-solving mode, with limited resources, how do you have maximum impact? That is actually the problem which has to be solved. And what we try to do in Indian foreign policy today, in Indian diplomacy today, is actually solve that problem. And we try to do that by partly using our competitiveness, using our strengths, leveraging other institutions and possibilities. I'll give you an example. I would say, even to me, an IIT Madras campus in Tanzania is a way by which Indian foreign policy has leveraged the capabilities of an institution here to make a huge impact there. That is something I want to talk about. But I would, make this statement. In my entire career, which is quite long, I have never seen anything having a greater emotional impact on the rest of the world than giving vaccines. I've actually had people who tear up when they remember the first vaccine shipment. So, if you remember, look, COVID was a bad memory, we have put it all behind us. You try to actually get it out as much of your system as possible. But at that time, there were countries, there were developed countries, Western countries, some of them, who had stocked up 8 times the number of vaccines of their population. Nobody is going to take 8 doses, okay? But there were countries, and big countries, who had 8 times the vaccine stock of their population, and next to them were small countries to whom they were not willing to give 10,000 doses, okay? Now, when you had somebody who had first of all responsibility of 1.4 billion, and then on top of it who had initiated the program, we were still in the middle of it, and we felt at that time that many of these countries should not, giving them 100,000, 200,000 doses was something which would be a gesture of solidarity. It would be make or break for them. And it was something we could do, and we could explain to our people why we could do it. And I can tell you, it is something even today. Today, we talk less about vaccines. I hear it actually when I go out. When I go to Latin America, when I go to small island states, people from the Caribbean, people from the Pacific, many of them say, look, we had no chance of getting within smelling distance of vaccine but for the fact that you people gave it to us. So I mentioned that as as an example that, you know, we were the world's most efficient producers of vaccines. You know, the same if you look, at that time, my my second job was in a way a sort of a supply chain and oversight minister for some of this, because a lot of the supply chain was actually outside the country. And again, people don't realize it was very important to have that global connect and that global responsibility, because the world also helped us. I think that's something we should acknowledge, that the supply chain came from outside India so that the product could be made in India. And we had a moral obligation. Not all countries at that time necessarily fulfilled it. So the bottom line I would say is, don't think of it as home and abroad, you know, why am I doing this for the world when I still have problems at home. We have to, you know, steady up at home, we'll build up at home, but at the same time, you don't not do foreign policy because you got domestic problems. You know, they've got to walk hand in hand. You know, you have to do both at that time. And the example I gave of IIT Madras, you know, I had the privilege of going to Zanzibar, of seeing the opening of that institution. But I was just thinking to myself at that time, and again today when I came, think 10 years from now. Think 10 years from now, how many students of Africa would have passed through its portals? Look at the impact that we would have on the minds of people who in their own countries would be economic and technology leaders. It's an investment beyond value. You know, you will shape, and remember, some, you know, decades ago, others used to do it. I mean, if you look at the way I'm giving you as an example, how American universities shape the image of America abroad. So today, I would say education for us, particularly higher education, and skills, you know, I would take it beyond education to innovation, to you know, talent promotion, nurturing. This is an area which I feel at the end of the day, you know, there are oil powers, there are resource powers. We are a human resource power, and we should play to our strengths. We now have the capability to start doing so. You know, when institutions of excellence in the country start going abroad, believe me, in the business of foreign policy, I now just have a huge addition to my arsenal. And what I see 10 years from now in Africa, you know, from this one institution, is something very, very transformational.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for mentioning IIT Madras Zanzibar. We are all very proud of that, and I thank the director and everyone involved for this project. So now, sir, if we could, in an attempt to reflect the actual concerns and aspirations of the student community, we thought it would be better if we get their voices directly onto the stage. Sure. So if I may have your permission, can we take questions from the audience? So we are open to questions from the audience. If anyone has any question, please raise your hands. Can we have the gentleman over there, can someone please give the mic to him?
Good morning, sir. My name is Zaira Gandhi. I am a second-year BTech student pursuing civil engineering here at IIT Madras. My question to you, sir, is that our neighborhood is often shaped by asymmetry and volatile domestic politics. Given the recent security and political shifts in Bangladesh, which was underlined by the fact that you visited there 2 days ago, how is India recalibrating its neighborhood-first policy while maintaining a stature of non-interference and protecting our security interests? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I was there in Bangladesh just 2 days ago. I had gone to represent India at the funeral of the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Begum Khaleda Zia. But let me actually take your question in a somewhat broader format, not just Bangladesh, but neighborhood as a whole. Okay. We are blessed with a lot of neighbors of various kinds. And I want to answer your question in a very common sense kind of way. Because, at the end of the day, people make out as though diplomacy is rocket science. It's common sense in kind of polished language. Now, what do you do in common sense with a neighbor? Any neighbor. I mean, you are in a hostel, you have neighbors. If you have a neighbor who is good to you, or at least who is not harmful to you, your natural instinct is to be kind, is to help that neighbor. If the neighbor has a problem, you would like to contribute in some way. If nothing else, you'll say hello. You will try to build friendships, bonding, etc. And that's what we do as a country. So when you look around our neighborhood, wherever actually there's a sense of good neighborliness, I think you have seen India invest, India help, India share. So, we were talking about the COVID. Most of our neighbors got their first shipment of vaccines from India. Again, when our vaccination program was still going on. Okay. Then, I'll give you a second example, the Ukraine conflict. Because of the Ukraine conflict, there was there were food shortages, there were fuel shortages, there were financial crisis. Now, again, with many of our neighbors, we supplied fuel, we helped out with food, we helped out with fertilizer, and in a sense, we were sharing what we had. Now, some neighbors went through very exceptional stresses. A very notable one was Sri Lanka. That Sri Lanka actually had an acute financial crisis. And we actually stepped up with a package of $4 billion at a time when, their negotiations with the IMF were still sort of moving at a very glacial pace. So that's what, in a way, good neighbors can do. I mean, just recently, there was a cyclone in Sri Lanka called Ditwa. The day the cyclone happened, by that very afternoon, we were there. We were there with help. Our ships were at the port, but within a day, our helicopters reached there. Our rescue teams were there. I went there myself with a few days later with a kind of a reconstruction, rebuilding package. And believe me, if you ask the average person, they have that sense that, look, I have a neighbor like India. I know when things get bad, I can rely on a country like this. And it doesn't have to be a crisis. You also work with neighbors by power grids, by waterways, by roads, by ports, by doing business, by helping tourism, by having people come for medical treatment. So this is the positive scenario. But you can also have bad neighbors. Unfortunately, we do. Now, when you have bad neighbors, and if you look to the one to the west, if a country decides that they will deliberately, persistently, unrepentantly continue with terrorism, we have a right to defend our people against terrorism. We will exercise that right. How we exercise that right is up to us. Nobody can tell us what we should do or not. We will do whatever we have to do to defend ourselves. It's a common sense proposition. Now, again, as I said, a lot of it is goodwill. Many years ago, we agreed to a water arrangement, water sharing arrangement, because the belief, the underpinning of that was, it was a gesture of goodwill, because for good neighborliness, we were doing it. But if you had decades of terrorism, there is no good neighborliness. If there is no good neighborliness, you don't get the benefits of that good neighborliness. You can't say, I will, please share water with me, but I will continue terrorism with you. That's not reconcilable. So I think there is as I said, a good neighbor, bad neighbor, but an overall neighborhood policy. Most of our neighbors, I think, have, a realization that India's growth is today a lifting tide. That if India grows, all our neighbors will grow with us. They will have many more opportunities. I think that, in a sense, is the message which I also took to Bangladesh. And yes, I mean, they are right now heading for their elections. We wish them well in that election. We hope that once things settle down, as I said, the sense of neighborliness in this region will grow.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. We had all read about the economic crisis in Sri Lanka and how India was one of the first countries to step forward. That shows the effectiveness of our neighborhood first policy. Thank you, sir. I hope your question is answered. Any other questions? Can we have the lady over there? Can someone please give the mic to her?
Hello.
I'll take 2-3 questions at a time. It'll be easier for me.
Good morning, sir. My name is Sanjana. My question is, strategic systems often develop blind spots due to institutional incentives. So, what risks should India's what risk should India's strategic establishment? What risk do you think India's strategic establishment has been overlooking because it seems sort of unimportant or bureaucratically or politically inconvenient to address?
To make sure timeline is followed well, we'll take 2-3 questions and
Three.
Okay, 3 questions.
3 questions at a time. I'll answer you. Let me take 2 more questions.
Can we have the lady over there ask a question, please?
Hi sir, I'm Varshini, I'm a BTech student, and my question is, as strategies are being more and more developed by AI, chips and data, how does our reliance on the Western softwares and technological guidelines and supply chains affect our digital dependency on other countries moving forward?
One more.
Anyone else? One last question before we answer.
Sure.
Can we have the lady over there ask a question, please? Can someone please pass her the mic?
Hello sir, I am Diya Lakshman. I study in class 10 at Kendra Vidyalaya IIT Chennai, and I would like to ask, as we know, diplomacy is often a game of high stakes patience. So I would like to know how you personally unplug or find clarity when you're in the middle of a multi-day international summit.
Okay, very good. So we start with blind spots and end with patience. Okay. So look, here's the blind spot issue. First of all, it's very hard to say, okay, that's my blind spot, because if you know it's your blind spot, it's not your blind spot. It's often, in a way, auditing forensics you do on yourself and your system to say, okay, we missed that, we should have seen that, we could have anticipated that. And typically, in our business, there are 2 or 3, I would say, orthodoxies or natural behavioral patterns which can create problems. One, there's a natural tendency to extrapolate the past. Okay, we are all empirical. If I met you 10 times, the 11th time, it's very natural, I believe, that you will behave more or less like you did the previous 10 times. So when there are sharp departures, for whatever reason, the departure can be technology, the departure can be politics, the departure can be some, event, of a new disruptive nature, that can actually lead one astray. The other is, again, it's also a tendency when we look even at progress. We benchmark ourselves against ourselves. If you had a set of B's, okay, and then you hit an A minus, you're very happy because you say, okay, I got out of B's, I've hit an A minus. Now, the problem is in the next institute or the next desk or even the next student may have been actually hitting A's before you, so your A minus may not have the value which you think it does. Most blind spots fall in one or the other category. These two tendencies which are very common. But you can have, as they say, a black swan is a blind spot which you really didn't see coming. That it came as a combination of circumstances which was very unique and presented someone with a challenge. I would say today the possibility of this growing is quite high because world is today being disrupted on so many variables at the same time. Somebody in the next question, somebody mentioned AI, for example. But if you look at technology, you look even at supply chains, you look at economic policies, you look at climate events, pandemics. Just think of the last 5 years. Everything which people said, oh, you can have wars, but in this day and age, you can't have long wars. Nobody can afford it. By the way, there's a long war going on right now, which is into its 4th year. People said, oh, some regions, they will never change. Look at the Middle East and see how much it has changed. We said, oh, we are so interdependent, nobody is going to really mess around with trade because we have too much locked into trade, nobody is going to take the risk. Guess what? Somebody took a big risk. So, I would say today, one way of dealing with blind spots is to try to continually update your risk assessments. And, it sounds like you're playing defense. That's not really the intent, but you actually continuously build a risk mitigation. If you ask me today, what are most countries doing in foreign policy? They are de-risking. They are de-risking their economy, they are de-risking their politics, they are de-risking their dealings with everybody, they are sometimes de-risking their internal, narratives. So that's really right now a very, very big challenge. Moving on to the broader issue, not just AI, but what you say, supply chains, how, what are the risks of relying on data, on models, on flows, on supply chains, on services which are not yours. Of course, there is a risk. There is a risk because whoever is influencing it or controlling it or supplying it, they have an agenda. Everybody in the world has an agenda. So don't expect them not to use it. So part of, when we say Viksit Bharat, when we say Atmanirbhar Bharat, the whole idea is to motivate ourselves, and I say this to all of you, it's particularly your generation because it's in your lifetime that Viksit Bharat is going to be achieved. That how do we build our systems and our, in a sense, self-reliance. Now again, you know, people sometimes take it to extreme and say, oh, we are going back to the past. We know we had a protectionist sort of period which didn't work out so well for us. I agree. You know, we had issues in the earlier decades. But that doesn't mean you open up all your doors and windows and let anybody who wants to walk in come into your house. I think we need a kind of a national spirit and a national capability and a national, you know, belief about what we can do. And I give you a very, you know, simple, direct example which relates to people in this room, 5G. You know, this is a country which got its 3G from outside, which got its 4G from outside. But when it came to 5G, we realized the risks of 5G, reliance on 5G from an external provider is so huge that we should make an effort. So today, if you look at telecom, if you look at space, if you look, you know, at, you know, I'm really very happy that the defense sector today has opened up so much more to innovation and to private enterprise and to creativity. I think these are things we need to do. We should not be insecure. We should not be, you know, hostile to something coming from outside, because at the end of the day we'll be connected, but we need to build our capabilities, and that's what it is about. The unplugging bit, look, you know, in my life I don't have off days, okay? It's not like I work Monday to Friday and say Saturday, Sunday I won't do anything, because the world doesn't accommodate that. You know, the world still runs on a Saturday, Sunday. And often my Friday is somebody's Saturday, and you know, my Monday has to be somebody's Sunday. So my life is very mixed up. It doesn't operate on a single time zone. And as I said, there is no off switch, on switch. So what I try to do is within that build habits and practices and indulgences which make you a stable and reasonable and congenial person who can deal with the rest of the world. So I do what normal people do. You know, I listen to music, I read books, I watch movies, I see sports. So, I mean, most of the time I'm very normal. And that normalcy, I can tell you, I mean, in a way, if you build it into your routine, again, I'm sorry, I'm sliding into advice giving, which is not my normal, but if you build it into your cycle, you know, if you build a physical routine into your cycle, you build you know, give yourself some time to read, write, think, talk, watch. I can tell you your daily routine itself is so balanced that you don't need to unplug, but my wife is sitting here and she may contradict me.
So thank you for those tips, sir. I'm sure a lot of us can adapt these techniques to make smarter decisions. So we'll have one last round of 3 questions. So preferably from the student community. Can we have the gentleman over there ask his question? Towards the front.
Hello. Hi sir, Akshat here. I'm a student here at IIT Madras. I wanted to ask what strategies is India pursuing to handle the global mobility of Indian researchers and engineers while also incentivizing on the long-term talent retention here in India?
Anyone else? Can we have the lady over there ask a question, please?
Good morning, sir. I'm Arshada, BTech undergrad from Mechanical Engineering Department. So my question is, given the growing importance of technology, talent and trust in shaping global trade and influence today, how can India's top academic institutes and research institutes leverage global collaboration to increase the country's soft power?
One last question.
Give it to that guy. Give it to that guy. He's really.
Some of the preference students.
Yeah, sure.
Can we have the gentleman over there ask his question?
Thank you so much, sir. So, most welcome to IIT Madras. My name is Sher Ali Mumand. I am an international student from Afghanistan. Perhaps I am the only Afghan student here. And I was involved in proposing 4 projects out of 6 for the development of Afghanistan that you have discussed with Mr. Muttaqi in your recent meeting in New Delhi, and would be happy to be part of the implementation on the ground. My question is that how you would assess the recent outcome of your discussion with Mr. Muttaqi or Afghan leadership, and if the outcomes are excellent or successful, so how will you start visa and ICCR scholarship for Afghan students?
I want to say I didn't know him and it wasn't a planted question. But there's somebody up there, I think I saw. We can take maybe one more. Yeah.
Yeah, we can take another question from someone over there.
Somebody up there.
Someone from the gallery area. Yeah, gentleman over there. Yeah, the one who's standing.
I'm speaking. Hello. It's me. Good morning, sir. My name is Tar Hania, and I am from Arunachal Pradesh. And I am also the student president of the Northeast Society here in IIT Madras. And I have one question for you. So my question here comes from China's behavior to the people specifically from Arunachal Pradesh. In this November 2025, there was a lady who was traveling to China and her passport was seized. She was considered and told that she was a Chinese citizen, and she was blocked in the airport itself. And this is not the only instance. In 2007, and also prior to that in 1980, there was one instance like this. So I just want you to ask, since I know a little bit of geopolitics, I want you to ask, what are your advices for the people of Arunachal Pradesh about this matter? Thank you very much.
So let me start with the first question on global mobility of researchers. You know, if I were to pick 3 factors in the near term, let's say in this decade, which would be truly transformational, one would be AI, one would actually be demography, and the third one I still haven't figured out because it's probably a blind spot. But demography is one of the hugely underestimated factors today in the state of the world. You know, anytime you have some spare time, just look it up. There are going to be societies who are actually looking at a demographic cliff, who are going to struggle with even, forget even replacement rates, they are actually wondering how they're going to keep their economy going. And this is happening at a very time when the other factor, AI, is going to create a very talent-centric existence where human beings will be repurposing themselves in a very potent way and in a very, very impactful way. So you have this very interesting conundrum. There is on one side a huge capability that is very visible. It's latent, but it's getting realized every day. But at the end of the day, yes, it requires compute, yes, it requires energy, but it requires talent. On the other side, you will have this very uneven talent pools, talent shortages. So how does the world actually try to balance out this spike in demand which is going to happen with the uncertain availability of it? And the only way is mobility. Now, mobility has issues because particularly irregular mobility can create backlashes. We have seen that happening in some cases. And again, on mobility, the social insecurities which are created by irregular migration, they counter the demands of the economy, the demands of technology. So you will have a scenario where, yes, there will be global mobility of people, but there will also be global mobility of tasking. That in many cases, enterprises or employers or people themselves will say, universities could say this, fine, you are in IIT Chennai, why don't I share this with you and why don't you work on this and let's see how it works between the two of us. So the tasking will also be far more mobile. Now in some cases you can't change it. If you are running an airline, you have to have somebody on a flight. On a cruise ship, you have to have. If you are running a hotel, you need people to manage the hotel. And by the way, each one of these jobs is today seeing enormous mobility. When I travel out, which I do a great deal, one big change I see is I see far more Indians today in different professions and different positions than I have seen ever before in my life. Because that is one sign today of that demand and that mobility which follows. Now, when it comes to researchers, again, I don't think we should look at it as a zero-sum game. It's not like somebody goes out to work means we have lost them. Because experience has actually shown many of the people who've gone out have actually fed back in, triggered, they've been catalysts, they have been contributors, they have been pathways to building relationship. And this is the reality. I mean, the world will not be more autarkic. The world will be more globalized, but within the globalized, the really powerful centers will be, of course, more self-reliant. What will define a pole in a multipolar world is the pole, by its very definition, will be relatively much more self-reliant and sizable than competing nations. So I think this is a reality which awaits us. I see that trend actually growing. And flowing from that, the second issue, which is global collaboration. Again, there are, often when we think of global collaboration, we are psychologically inclined to think ourselves as takers. I think we need to gradually grow over that. We are also contributors. Many of the very examples I cited to you, if you have an IIT Madras campus outside India, you are a contributor. If you have a rescue force or a disaster response force which goes out somewhere, you are a competitor. You are a contributor. One of our challenges is going to be today, how do we shape the world not only economically, not only security and but also intellectually and in terms of knowledge. And it is, I think, the issue over the horizon that we need to address. On our friend from Afghanistan, look, I just want to say this. We have, as you know better than me, centuries of relationship with Afghanistan, which is very societal. There may be governments and regimes which have gone up and down. I think at the end of the day, we need to address some of the challenges because Afghanistan is going through a very difficult time. And they need to be addressed from the perspective, there's a kind of a people-centric or a societal-centric perspective that we need to do. And today when, we work with Afghanistan on development issues, on issues like, vaccines or food or even pesticides, these kinds of things, health, it is driven by that logic. And I had a very good discussion with my counterpart there, and it's something which I expect to see. Finally, the last question. Look, yes, there was this incident about one of our nationals from Arunachal Pradesh, a lady who was transiting through China and who was arbitrarily detained and in a sense, I would say harassed, inconvenienced, to put it very, very mildly. And we actually protested about it. And we not only protested about it, we also made the point that, look, there are two issues. By doing this kind of thing, nothing is going to change in reality. Arunachal Pradesh is and will always be part of India. And no, this kind of tactics is not going to change anything on the ground. But there is a larger issue. There are international conventions and regulations which govern the transit of people, and we expect countries to abide by it. But I think this is an issue where we have a very firm and a very clear stance. So I hope you are very reassured on that score.
Thank you, sir. As you had mentioned, I think a lot of us, when we hear foreign service, we think of the geopolitical issues that are going on. But you threw a lot of light on how academic contributions and technology can play a major role as well. So I feel a lot of us are really motivated now to improve take the country's stature a lot higher in terms of soft power as well with our academic contributions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
With that, I'd like to conclude the fireside chat. For many of us here today, this interaction has transformed foreign policy from something distant and abstract into something deeply human, strategic, and purposeful. You have reminded us that India's engagement with the world is ultimately about confidence. Confidence in who we are, what we stand for, and what we can contribute. On behalf of everyone, thank you for your generosity of thought and for inspiring a generation that will carry India's voice forward in technology, diplomacy, and global leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause for Dr. S. Jaishankar.
As a token of our immense gratitude, I would like to request our Director, Professor V. Kamakoti, Professor Satyanarayan, Dean of Students, Professor Murugayan, Advisor Co-Curricular Affairs, and Professor Sushanta, Advisor Cultural Affairs, to join us on stage and present the memento. Thank you. I would also like to request Professor Raghunathan, Dean Global Engagement, to join on stage, along with Mr. Thirumalai Madhav Narayan, CEO, IITM Global Research Foundation, to present IITM Global booklet to Director and Dr. Jaishankar. Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Dr. S. Jaishankar, sir. Yes. Fine, I would like you to please sign the Spotlight Lecture book commemorating today's occasion in our archives. I request Tirukati, member of Shastra core team, to present the ledger. As we approach the end of the program, I would like to request Professor Murugayan Amirthalingam, Advisor Co-Curricular Affairs, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Distinguished Chief Guest, Dr. S. Jaishankar, sir, we are truly overwhelmed by your humbleness. Thank you. Yes. Director Post V. Kamakoti, Deans, Registrar Madam, faculty members, excellencies from foreign missions, esteemed guests, and my dear students. It's my honor to propose the vote of thanks on this landmark occasion for IIT Madras. First and foremost, we express our deepest gratitude to our Chief Guest, Dr. S. Jaishankar. Sir, your presence here today to inaugurate both the IITM Global and the Festival Fortnight adds great prestige to these initiatives. Your insights during the Fireside chat have been truly inspiring, offering our students a rare window into India's role on the global stage, which I'm sure is going to take core memories and generate core memories in our students' mind. We owe a great deal of thanks to our director, Professor V. Kamakoti. Your vision has been driving force behind the convergence we see today, bringing together the open house, Shastra, Sarang into this spectacular festival fortnight within IITM Global initiative. Our sincere thanks go to Professor Raghunatha Rangasamy and Professor Satyanarayan and Gummadi for the leadership in shaping the Global Research Foundation and the Student Affairs respectively. I also like to thank the excellencies from foreign missions, partners from the government agencies, various industry partners present here for signing the MOUs. These collaborations, the bedrock of the innovation we strive for in IIT Madras. We extend our sincere thanks to our media partners, Chennai Police, for their support. A special word of appreciation goes to the students organizing team of Shastra, led by Meet, Thiru, Anshita, Gayatri, et al. Thank you guys. And the security personnel, the engineering unit team, the Dean GE and Dean students office staffs, everyone working behind the scenes here to make this event seamless. Finally, thank you to the audience, our students and the guests for your presence, very lively interaction with the minister, for being also seated very early in this morning. Your enthusiasm what makes this campus come alive. As we move towards the national anthem, I invite you all of you to carry the spirit of this convergence into the weeks ahead in this happy new year. Thank you.
I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विन्ध्य हिमाचल यमुना गङ्गा उच्छल जलधितरङ्गा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे